Welcome to the Headlinesman. Let's get right into it about where we were this week and where we're going this upcoming week as we enter the second round of the high school football playoffs. First off, we went to Riverton as Riverton took on American Fork in the first round of the 6A playoffs. So I'm going to have a recap of that in just a second, but let's talk about where we're going this week. This week, I'm going to try to go to Jordan at Skyridge. That's a second round 5A playoff game. That looks like a pretty good matchup and one that I'm really interested in. And so look for that this upcoming week and look for a recap video posted next week about that game. Now let's talk about the game that we went to on Friday, American Fork at Riverton. I want to start out with American Fork. American Fork does things really well, mainly because they've got two great offensive football players on their football team in Boone Abbott and Chase Roberts. When we start out talking about Boone Abbott, first, he's a great athletic quarterback. He makes plays with his legs and with his arm, and that's really what he did on Friday afternoon. He made life miserable for the Riverton defense, both with his ability to get outside the pocket and complete passes, and then get the necessary yardage he would need at times to get first downs, and really just make them uneasy. He's the type of quarterback that really puts pressure on your defense. And that was evident on Friday. The second half, American Fork came out and was extremely explosive offensively. That's when both Abbott and Roberts really broke out. The second half was big for those players, and that's really why I love American Fork, and I think that they have a chance to not only make it into the semifinals of the 6A playoffs, but to make it into that championship game. Now on to Chase Roberts. I want to talk about him a little bit. Chase Roberts is a beast. Early on in the game, he looked to be hampered a little bit by some injuries. He looked a little banged up, but he really came out in the second half and was explosive. He was the Chase Roberts that I'd seen earlier in the year when they played at Timpview. He made plays, and they were big plays. He accounted for 5 touchdowns. 5. Okay? Some guys don't even get that in a season. He got it in one game and really made it so Riverton could not win this football game. Now, with that being said, let's talk about American Fork's defense. American Fork's defense did not handle Dane McDonald very well. Dane McDonald's the quarterback for Riverton. And when I say they didn't handle him well, what I mean is he is a mobile quarterback. He gets out of the pocket. They do like to have him run the ball occasionally on design quarterback runs. American Fork did not handle that as well as I would like to see from a team that I expect to compete for a championship. So one thing with American Fork that they need to fix moving forward throughout the rest of this playoff is their defense needs to make sure that they play assignment sound football in regards to mobile quarterbacks. On to Riverton. Let's talk about Riverton for a little bit. I've already hinted a little bit of what my issue with Riverton was when I watched this game on Friday, but let's explore that in more depth. Defensively, Riverton either did not understand that American Fork had these 2 special athletes on their football team, or they couldn't do anything about it. Not sure which one it was. The only reason why I believe it was actually the former, which means that they didn't game plan well, is because there were many, many times, and when I say many, I mean more than 5 or 6, where Chase Roberts was in man-to-man coverage with a defensive back who was obviously the inferior athlete. Okay? Now, I am the type of guy that will never claim to be a defensive-minded football guy. I ask my little brother questions all the time. He's much better minded when it comes to defense than I am. But at the same time, I feel like I'm smart enough to understand, hey, it may not be a good idea to not double cover this guy. If you're a football coach at the 6A level, you should understand how to coach bracket coverage and having a safety over the top. I don't understand why this happened. It's crazy to me, but the man scored 5 touchdowns on you, which single-handedly was enough to beat you. You owe your kids more than that, to game plan better than that, to actually try to take away the opponent's best player. All right, now that you've heard my rant about the craziness that is high school football, and Riverton's not the only one that's guilty of it that I've watched this year. I've seen many games where the opposing team has a stud at the wideout position and the other team decides, oh, let's go man up on him. I trust my corners. Okay, that's fine. If you have an All-American corner out there on the edge, fine, great, go for it. But when he beats you the first time, maybe that's when you're like, okay, once is enough. But it's like they almost liked getting beat multiple times by the same kid over and over again. Like, it's like they were glutton for punishment. I don't understand it. I can't understand why some defensive coaches can't figure out, hey, I'm going to do everything in my power to take that kid away. If somebody else beats me, fine. I'll deal with that. I'll live with that. Because at least my athletes should be close to the same level as those other athletes. When you've got an All-American on the other side of the ball, it's a no-brainer. Put all your effort and attention to that guy. Why do you think American Fork was so good? Like, the rest of their offensive players are pretty good. And believe me, they're actually a really good football team all around. But Boone Abbott and Chase Roberts are their offense. Right? I like some of their other football players. Devin Downing, I love watching him play. He's a good receiver. Right? He would be a stud on any other team, but he's not on any other team. He's on this American Fork team, and this American Fork team has one of the best receivers I've ever seen play. If it wasn't for watching Puka Nacua earlier this year, I would say he's probably the best. Figure it out. Anyway, enough of the rant. Offensively for Riverton, turnovers will kill you. They had a couple in that second half that really made it difficult and nearly impossible for them to actually win this game. Offensively, the keys going into that game for them were to not make mistakes, to move the ball, to get enough explosive plays to put some points on the board, and then rely upon playing better defense than they played to win the game. Now, looking back at my preview that I posted last week, this is what I expected to happen, so I don't know why I'm so heated about it, other than watching teams shoot themselves in the foot because of game planning and not being aware or understanding what's going on the other side of the ball. That drives me insane. But this is what I expected to happen, and it is what happened. Now, what I do have for you, I do have some highlights, some clips that I want to show you just to kind of give you an idea of what the tone and tempo of this game was. And so let's go ahead and watch those right now. And here we go. right, so hopefully you enjoyed those clips, got an idea of what I saw this last Friday in Riverton. Let's talk about where we're going this week again. Just a reminder, I'm planning on going to the Jordan at Skyridge game on Friday, so look for a video posted early next week about that game, as well as if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel, give me a like, turn on that notification bell, and thanks for the watch. We'll see you next time.